Well, this is where the rubber hits the road. At the end of this month, that's next week, those receiving unemployment benefits will be required to apply for 8 jobs each month. Goodness only knows where these jobs are, because labour market experts say that unemployment will continue to rise. These mutual obligation requirements and associated penalties were suspended earlier this year, as you know, as the government threw hundreds of thousands of Australians and businesses out of work in what I've always argued was an absurd response to coronavirus. Well, at the end of this month, these mutual obligation requirements for those receiving unemployment benefits will be reinstated, including penalties and the suspension of payments for those who don't meet the obligations. Jenny Lambert is the Director of Skills and Employment at the Australian Chamber of Commerce and Industry. She rightly says toughening the rules is, quote, an appropriate response in the short term, unquote. And it is absolutely true that nobody should get money for nothing. But it's essential to repeat that this is a private sector recession. No one in the public sector has surrendered a red cent. Not a politician, not a public servant. They've kept the full freight while others have been sent to the soup kitchens. Jenny joins us. Jenny Lambert, good evening, and thank you for your time.
Good evening, Alan.
I note that Professor Peter Whiteford from the Australian National University's Crawford School of Public Policy, who's an expert in social welfare systems, says it's premature to be reintroducing rules and penalties around job seeking when the labour market remains so weak. What are your thoughts on that?
Look, the labour market's really mixed. What was really good about the unemployment figures that came out only a few days ago was that unemployment had dropped again down to 6.8% from 7.5%. And some industries have actually grown in jobs since the COVID, particularly agriculture, finance services, and some really big employing industries are holding their own. But of course, that is not the universal experience.
No.
I mean, certainly Victoria is absolutely on its knees, and industries like tourism and events and hospitality are really struggling.
So when we say the JobKeeper wage subsidy will continue until March next year, but from October 1, which is next week, the payments will fall from $1,500 to $1,200 a fortnight, and then people working fewer than 20 hours will get $750 a fortnight. Then in the first 3 months of 2021, JobKeeper will go down to $1,000. And if you work fewer than 20 hours, it'll drop from $750 to $650. That's JobKeeper. Then there's JobSeeker, that's the unemployment thing, which will fall from $1,100 to $800 a fortnight at the end of this month. Now, can I just ask you, if JobSeeker, the unemployment benefit, is $800 a fortnight come October, do they get a JobSeeker coronavirus supplement too?
That's built into the supplement. So their supplement has dropped from 550 and dropped by 300 as of the 28th of September to 250. So their supplement, they had already had a coronavirus supplement on top of what was their new start, and now is job seeker allowance, and that supplement has dropped at the same time that JobKeeper has dropped.
It has. But Jenny, if there are 5 million Australians on JobKeeper and JobSeeker, where are the jobs for them?
Well, I mean, this is why when we talk about mutual obligation, it has to only rise in proportion to where the job opportunities are. So in Victoria, I mean, there's no mutual obligation requirements at the moment, and that will obviously only change when the job market starts to grow again. But one of the really important things about understanding how employment works and getting people back into jobs is it's very important for job seekers to stay active in the job market. Sure, it actually can be very demoralising if you're putting in jobs and there's not any, putting in job applications and there's not jobs around. So you've got to get the balance right. But evidence has shown us time and time again that a little bit of activity can go a long way to getting people back to being in the job market.
I know, Jenny, but the loan repayment deferrals end at the end of this month. The eviction grace period ends. I mean, I love being optimistic, but my correspondence doesn't tell me that the unemployment thing is 6.8%. I mean, do these changes to JobSeeker and JobKeeper require parliamentary support?
Well, the JobKeeper changes had already gone through. The JobSeeker was a change the government made, but the JobKeeper payments change went through in the last sitting of Parliament, alongside the changes to the Fair Work Act the continuation of flexibilities in the Fair Work Act for JobKeeper. So those changes have been made by the government. It is a very tough time. You're absolutely right, Alan. It's such a tough time. But we've got to be proportionate. And so the activity has got to encourage people just to put their, the toe back in the market, because if they can get a job, time and time again, it's proven that if you can get back in the market early, then you're much better off than staying unemployed for a long period of time.
Absolutely, Jenny, but I just worry where those jobs are, I've got to tell you. But thank you for talking to us. I mean, the people I talk to see it as an awful mess. Jenny Lambert, look, I agree with Innes Willocks from the Australian Industry Group, who says, I think it'll be pretty deep and very tough for a long time to come.